Jai Shriman Narayana, I'm the Pauranika. Welcome to the 42nd episode of Sri Mahabharata as written by Sage Vedavyasa. Sage Vedavyasa, the grandfather of the Pandavas and Kauravas. This episode is the story of his great-grandfather, who also happens to be the teacher of Sri Ramachandra, Sage Vasishta. After hearing the story of Tapati and Samvarna, Arjuna's heart was fixated on sage Vasishta. He wanted to know more about the great sage and asked the Gandharva to elaborate. Then Angaraparna said, Arjuna, any king who wants to achieve great things must have a Purohita, an advisor who would guide him in the right direction. As future rulers, you must also choose a wise and virtuous Brahmana as your Purohita. Sage Vasishta was the guru and the chosen advisor for the Ikshvakus and your ancestors too. Sage Vasishta is the Manasaputra of Lord Brahma. He is the husband of Arundhati. He conquered the Kama and Krodha, desire and anger, which even the Devatas failed to defeat. Once, even after Viswamitra committed an act that could infuriate any person in the world, the virtuous Vasishta, though capable of doing so, did not hurt Viswamitra. Even after Viswamitra got his children killed, Vasishta did not react. The great sage made the kings of the world perform many yagas for the prosperity of the people of the world. Gandharva, what was the reason for the animosity between the sages Viswamitra and Vasishta? Asked Arjuna. Arjuna, this is one of the oldest stories in our history. Listen carefully. Once upon a time, there lived a great king in Kanyakubja. His name was Gadhi. He was the son of Kusika. That great king Gadhi, who was considered as an embodiment of Dharma, had a son by name Viswamitra. That Viswamitra had a mighty army and great vehicles with which he used to subjugate many kingdoms. One day, that Viswamitra, along with his ministers and army, went to the forest for hunting. There, he hunted many wild boars and deer. After hunting for some time, he felt thirsty and went to the cottage of sage Vasishta. Upon seeing Viswamitra and his troops, sage Vasishta went ahead and welcomed him into the ashrama. That virtuous sage Vasishta had a wish-granting cow by name Nandini. Whatever Vasishta would ask the cow, it would grant that wish. That Nandini gifted them with grains, fruits and roots, milk, best of drinks, great food, precious gems and fine garments. With those, Vasishta served Viswamitra and his entourage. They were very impressed by the hospitality of Vasishta and got to know about the divine cow Nandini. Viswamitra saw the cow and asked for Nandini in exchange for 10 crore cows or his entire kingdom. Then Vasishta replied that Nandini had been serving the activities such as yagas performed by him and he wouldn't trade her for anything. Then Viswamitra said, You are a learned Brahmana with no trace of valor. I am a powerful Kshatriya. While penance is your dharma, strength is mine. I will not leave my dharma and will take Nandini with me by force. Vasishta told Viswamitra that he was free to do so, and Viswamitra tried to steal Nandini, which was as white as swan and a moon. Viswamitra's army with sticks and whips tried to make her move, but Nandini did not. Vasishta, on the other hand, was deeply disturbed by her screams. Nandini looked at the mighty army of Viswamitra and got scared. She ran towards sage Vasishta and asked him why was he sparing the atrocious Viswamitra and his army who were torturing her. Then Vasishta said that he was just being patient, hoping for Viswamitra to learn from his mistakes. And he said to Nandini, If you wish to go, you can go with him. Nandini was disheartened. Swami, are you relinquishing me? She asked. Without your permission, no one can take me away. Then Vasishta said, No, I am not relinquishing you. If you have the strength, please stay. On hearing Vasishta's words, Nandini turned around angrily and scattered the armies of Viswamitra. With angry eyes, Nandini screamed and created a huge army from various parts of its body. The army thus created destroyed the army of Viswamitra. With his army defeated and scattered, Viswamitra took his bow and started showering arrows at sage Vasishta. But none of those could even touch Vasishta. Then, frustrated Viswamitra decided to attack Vasishta with powerful astras like Agneya, Varuna, Indra and Yamyastras. They approached Vasishta emitting fire. However, sage Vasishta blocked all the astras with just his staff. After defeating Viswamitra, Vasishta said, Maharaja, you were defeated. If you still have strength, I am still standing. Viswamitra was embarrassed. He thought his physical strength is no match to the tapashakti of Vasishta. The resounding defeat played in his heart again and again, and Viswamitra decided to acquire the Shakti like that of Vasishta. He relinquished his kingdom and did great penance and finally attained Brahmatvam. Though born as a Kshatriya, Viswamitra with great penance became a Brahmana. However, that wasn't the end of hardships in the life of sage Vasishta. He had lost all his children and sage Viswamitra had a pivotal role to play there. Once upon a time there lived an Ikshvaku king of great virtues by name Kalmaashapaada. One day he went for hunting in a thick forest. While walking on a narrow path, he came across a sage by name Shakti. Shakti was the eldest of sage Vasishta's 100 sons. On seeing him, the king asked him to move from the path and give way to him. Sage Shakti, who wasn't impressed by the demeanor of the king, told him that a ruler should always respect the learned ones and therefore Kalmaashapaada must make way for him. The king got offended with the statement of sage Shakti and barbarically hit the sage with a whip. Sage Shakti was furious. As you have behaved like a raakshasa and hit me, you will become a raakshasa and live on eating human flesh, cursed sage Shakti. Disheartened Kalmaashapaada begged for Shakti's forgiveness, but he hadn't got any. In the meanwhile, sage Viswamitra, who was around the same forest at the same time, heard the curse of sage Shakti and summoned a Rakshasa by name Kinkara to enter into the body of Kalmaashapaada, which the Rakshasa did and started messing with the mind of Kalmaashapaada. Later one day, while King Kalmaashapaada was going to a forest, he met a Brahmana. That Brahmana told him that he was hungry and he wants a meal with meat. The king told him to wait there for some time, went to his palace and ordered his cook to make a meal with meat and give it to the Brahmana who was waiting near the forest. Despite trying really hard, the cook did not find any kind of meat. He came to the king and told him the same. The king, who by then was possessed by the Rakshasa, could not think straight and ordered his cook to feed the Brahmana human meat. When the cook took the meal to the Brahmana, the learned man figured out what it was and cursed the king that Shakti's curse will come true and the king will become a man-eater. With two learned men cursing him to be a man-eater, King Kalmaashapaada lost his senses completely and started searching for human meat. He first came across sage Shakti, who gave the curse. He said, As you gave me such terrible curse to be a man-eater, I am starting with you, he said, killed sage Shakti and ate him. Then sage Viswamitra spoke to Kalmaashapaada and diverted him towards the 100 sons of Vasishta. Kalmaashapaada killed and ate all of them. Sage Vasishta, who heard about it, was shattered. Despite knowing that it was Viswamitra who got his sons killed, he tolerated the news and did not show any anger towards Viswamitra. Instead, he wanted to leave his mortal body and tried to die multiple times. Fire couldn't burn him, water couldn't drown him. Finally, he tied himself and decided to drown in a river, but the river untied his knots and pushed him out. As it removed the pasas or the bindings of Vasishta, that river got the name Vipasa. Later, he saw a mighty river by name Haimavati filled with crocodiles. As he entered into it, like a water body touched by a boulder of fire, the river split into many tributaries. After realizing that he can't take his life, Vasishta returned to his ashrama and later continued to travel to many mountains and sites of pilgrimage. While in travel, he noticed that a woman was following him. He realized that the woman was his daughter-in-law, sage Shakti's wife, Adrusyanti, who was pregnant with Shakti's child, whom she carried for a period of 12 years. As he realized that he was about to become a grandfather, he withdrew himself from the thoughts of quitting the world. One day, while they were on their way, he saw Kalmaashapaada in a forest. On seeing the Rakshasa rushing towards them, Adrusyanti got scared and asked Vasishta to save her. Vasishta assured her that the Rakshasa was indeed a king and sprinkled some mystic water over him and got him to his normal form using his divine powers. Kalmaashapaada apologized to him and asked Vasishta to help him perform yagas. Vasishta said that only time will help him achieve his wishes and told him to never insult a Brahmin again. Later, Shakti's wife Adrusyanti delivered a boy. That boy was named Parasara. Parasara is that same sage who later gave birth to sage Vedavyasa with Satyavati. After he was born, Parasara one day addressed his grandfather Vasishta as father. Then his mother Adrusyanti, who was heartbroken, remembered her dead husband and told Parasara about Shakti and how Kalmaashapaada killed him. Parasara became furious. He decided to do a penance that would destroy the whole world that was unfair towards his father. However, Vasishta, who understood his anger, told him that it's not wise to do such act. He told him the story of Aurva of Bhrigu lineage, who too had decided to destroy the world. Once upon a time, there was a king by name Kritavirya, under whom the sages of Bhrigu lineage used to live. One day, he did Somayaga and gave lots of gold and riches to the saints of Bhrigu lineage. After the king died, his successors wanted some money for some reason and went to the Bhrigus for the same. While few of them returned it, few had hid the money underground and did not give it back. One day, while digging randomly, the royals found the hidden money. They got angry with the Bhrigus and killed all of them. They were so atrocious that when they got to know that a Bhrigu woman was pregnant with a child, they wanted to kill him as well. The woman protected her baby by holding the fetus in her thigh. When the royals came to kill him, the baby came out of his mother. Looking at the baby who was as bright as the sun, the royals lost their eyesight. They begged the lady for forgiveness. Then she said, "You have even killed the unborn children of Bhrigu lineage. This son of mine, who learned the Vedas from my womb, was born with vengeance to destroy the ones who killed his forefathers. you can request him." Then the royals pleaded the sage Aurva and he forgave them. However, his anger did not descend. He decided to do a yaaga to destroy the world. However, his forefathers came to him and pacified him to leave the anger. They told him that it was their elaborate plan to leave the mortal world, and therefore they have planted the money underground for the royals to find so that they can leave the mortal world and attain Swargaloka. On being convinced by his forefathers, sage Aurva left his anger in the ocean, and till date that anger is burning in the depths of the ocean. Vasishta told this to pacify Parasara. While Parasara spared the world, he decided to perform a raakshasa yaaga to destroy the rakshasas, as one of them was responsible for his father's death. This time, even sage Vasishta could not stop him. However, knowing that his lineage is at risk, sage Pulastya came to Parasara and reasoned with him in many ways. "Parasara, it is not fair to kill all the rakshasas who did no harm to you. This is not expected of a Brahmana. Please choose peace over destruction. It was the curse given by Shakti that led to his death. Please spare the rakshasas." Pulastya pleaded Parasara in many ways. Finally, Parasara gave in and stopped the yaaga. He left the fire that was started to destroy the rakshasas at the south of Himalayas, and even today that fire burns rakshasas on specific occasions. This, Arjuna, is the story of the great Vasishta, who had been the priest to the Ikshvakus and your forefathers too. Therefore, you too should get a priest who would guide you and your brothers. If you are willing, I would recommend the youngest brother of sage Devala by name Dhaumya, who lives in the same forest. Then Pandavas met Dhaumya, took him as their Purohita, and decided to go to Panchali Swayamvaram. Thank you. Jai Shriman Narayana.